This is macOS Ken.
Important security updates from Apple. Foxconn staffs up for iPhone production. And Masimo is not happy about Apple's workaround. It is Thursday, the 21st of August, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Clean My Mac, now with Cloud Cleanup. Try it free for 7 days and use code macOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Apple on Wednesday released iOS and iPadOS 18.6.2 and macOS Sequoia 15.6.1, and you need them like yesterday. News of the updates came from Mac Rumors, which hit with related news not much later. The iPhone, iPad, and Mac updates address a security issue thought to have been under active exploit. Alright, to say you need it yesterday might be an overstatement. Apple's release note on the fix says the company is aware of a report that this issue may have been exploited in an extremely sophisticated attack against specific targeted individuals. That's the kind of language the company uses when there's evidence of nation-state agencies targeting dissidents or journalists. Still, the security updates are out there, along with updates for older hardware. Those include iPadOS 17.7.10, macOS Sonoma 14.7.8, and macOS Ventura 13.7.8. The updates are out there. Stay on top of the security thing. Go get them. Not nearly as important, though, staying on the software tip. If you use Zoom on an iPhone running iOS 13 or iOS 14, there is a fork in the road ahead. 9to5Mac says release notes in Zoom's latest update herald the end of support for iPhone's 4- and 5-year-old operating systems. While the notes don't say exactly when that's going to happen, the piece says the news means the app will soon require iOS 15 or later. Though the notes for the latest iPad update are kind of weird, looks like support for iPadOS 13 and 14 will be going away too. Now at first this seems like a weird warning. 9to5Mac points out that every iPhone that could run iOS 13 can also run iOS 15, so hardware compatibility shouldn't be an issue. At the same time, there may be phones out there stuck on older operating systems for one reason or another, so they'll need to zoom ahead if they want to keep using Zoom. Is it just me, or is the iPhone machine starting later in China than usual? The South China Morning Post ran a piece Wednesday that had Foxconn ramping up hiring at factories in China ahead of the iPhone 17 launch. That should be launching in about a month, right? Maybe they're ramping up hiring to make up time. Whatever the case, a piece says a post this week on WeChat by one of Foxconn's recruiting agencies said workers who stayed at the factory for 3 months would qualify for a bonus of up to 8,000 yuan, roughly $1,100 US, a significant hike from early July when the 3-month bonus was up to 4,500 yuan. Man, it's the prodigal son all over again, isn't it? Hourly rates are said to have risen from 23.5 yuan per hour early in July to 28 yuan per hour for signing up today. And if you want to feel sick, ask Siri how much that is in US dollars. Never mind, I'll tell you. It's less than $4 an hour. But we're going to build iPhones in the US. Sure we are. You know how we all thought Apple found a workaround in its fight with Masimo to start offering blood oxygen readings on Apple Watch again? Masimo does not think so. 9 to 5 Mac says the medical devices maker filed a new complaint in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia on Wednesday. This one accuses U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, of overstepping its authority and violating due process by letting Apple restore the feature. And they didn't even give Masimo a heads up, complains the company. In its filing, Masimo says it only discovered the 1st of August ruling 2 weeks later. That was when Apple publicly announced it would be reintroducing the pulse oximetry functionality through a software update. According to the report, Masimo further argues that CBP's move effectively nullified the ITC's exclusion order against Apple. Apple's appeal of that ITC ban is still making its way through the courts, according to the report. Meanwhile, the piece says Masimo is asking the court for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction to block the CBP's decision and reinstate the original ruling that determined that Apple's redesigned watches could be imported only to the extent the infringing functionality was completely disabled. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Clean My Mac, and their new feature, Cloud Cleanup. I told you yesterday about the nearly 600 gigabytes of large files Cloud Cleanup found in my iCloud account. Stuff that I've known I was storing, but why? I haven't thought about most of it in years. I also told you about the 14 gigabytes of junk it found to remove from my Mac, but there was even more than that. Like the 1.9 gigabytes of installation files and 2.7 gigabytes of application leftovers. Hidden data and digital traces of apps, some of which I thought had been purged years ago. At it since 2008, Clean My Mac does what it says, helps keep your Mac clean. And you can try it for free for 7 days. Put it through its paces. Throw out the leftovers. Then when you're ready to sign up, use code macOSken20 for 20% off at clny.com/macOSken. You still need to be careful with that URL, like in the show's title on Apple Podcasts, but without the spaces. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code macOSken20 for 20% off at clny.com/macOSken. That's with a capital M, capital O, capital S, capital K, clny.com/macOSken. CarPlay just got a major new partner in Australia. 9 to 5 Mac says EV maker Geely activated Apple's in-car infotainment solution with an over-the-air update for the EX5. Though it's a name unheard of by many in the US, the piece says Geely's EX5 was Australia's 4th best-selling EV for the first half of this year, behind one BYD model and a couple of Teslas. Geely's in plenty of other places as well, including China, other parts of Asia, parts of Europe, and the UK. The CarPlay update is Australia only for the time being. No word on when or if CarPlay will arrive in EX5s in other places. Apple Pay Express mode has gone live in Manchester, England. Mac Rumor says Greater Manchester's B network now supports the superfast Apple payment solution. According to the piece, Express mode for Apple Pay lets iPhone and Apple Watch owners pass through turnstiles with a single tap. The report says the feature is designed primarily for public transit systems, enabling rapid, contactless transactions that bypass the biometric or passcode requirement that normally accompanies Apple Pay. It's like hopping the turnstile without having to hop and actually having to pay. Mac Rumor says the Manchester implementation is the first in the UK outside of London. Other cities around the world with Apple Pay Express mode include Beijing, New York, Sydney, and Tokyo. Apple CEO Tim Cook has turned up someplace he probably wishes he hadn't. 9 to 5 Mac says this season's third episode of Comedy Central's South Park has taken aim at President Trump and the deference paid to him by visitors to the White House. According to the piece, one of the episode's storylines involved a long line of visitors bearing gifts, something that Deadline says is now a prerequisite for any presidential request. 9 to 5 Mac says one of the gift-bearing visitors in the show was Apple CEO Tim Cook, who held a pretty close-to-life rendition of the glass and 24-karat gold plaque that real-life Tim Cook handed Trump earlier this month during the Oval Office announcement of the American Manufacturing Program. Cook was not the only official ridiculed on the show. Others are said to have included representatives from the state of Florida, a visitor from Qatar, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, all bearing lavish gifts. The episode is called Sycophancy if you're looking for it. Sycophancy. Sycophancy. Speaking of things to see, there's a trailer up for Season 4 of the Apple TV Plus series The Morning Show. Skipping ahead 2 years in the show's timeline, the new season features many returning players, including Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, Billy Crudup, Mark Duplass, Nestor Carbonell, and so many more. New to the Morning Show mix this time, Marion Cotillard and Jeremy Irons. The first 3 seasons of The Morning Show are available to stream now on Apple TV+. The first episode of Season 4 hits the Cupertino streamer on Wednesday, the 17th of September. The Season 4 trailer is up now on YouTube. And finally today, there is a free app that I would love for you folks with Apple Vision Pro headsets to try out and tell me about. Upload VR ran a piece Wednesday about the application Project Graveyard. It honestly sounds both dumb and marvelous. Basically put a tiny graveyard in your augmented or virtual environment, big enough for dolls or Fisher-Price people maybe. In it, you put headstones with the names of projects that never made it. That said, I don't see why it would only have to be projects. Podcasts that went away, TV shows that got canceled, past pets, perhaps. The article doesn't say how you add text, though it does explain how you view it once it's there. Pluck a headstone from Project Graveyard and examine the text up close by stretching the object bigger. When you're done, let it go, and it goes back to the graveyard. Ironically, what it shows is promise, according to Upload VR. The piece says Project Graveyard is certainly a simple and silly idea, but its execution proves out basic concepts pointing to just how much space Apple made available to use in visionOS. Instead of a single Horizon world consuming a space, as is the case with Meta's platform, visionOS could deploy several of these dollhouse-scale volumes around the user at a given time. Free, as I say, and it does sound like it would be fun to play with. Project Graveyard is available in the App Store exclusively for Apple Vision Pro. If you try it out, let me know what you think. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Clean My Mac, now with Cloud Cleanup. Try it free for 7 days and use code macOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Everyone's a robot.